Hello, everybody, and welcome. Let's get right into it. Intentional living at work. 11 career decisions I wish everyone knew from lessons I've learned over 30 years in human resources. The first topic is going to be negotiating your compensation. Okay, so you've interviewed, they are making you an offer. This is your opportunity to negotiate your compensation upfront because typically you will not get another chance. So you need to do your research prior to the interview about the salary and the type of compensation you should be getting for the role that you've applied for. You should have a number in your head that makes sense to you, that you need for your budget, and get as close to that number as possible. If their first offer is not close enough, you need to ask for more. All they can say is no, but if you don't ask, you will never know. So please do not be afraid to negotiate your salary up front because it's the only chance you're probably going to get. Number two, bonuses versus raises. Bonuses are wonderful, but raises are better. Bonuses aren't always guaranteed, but once you get a raise, that's part of your compensation from that point on. So yes, a bonus structure in a position is wonderful, but what you want to make sure is that there is opportunity for you to get raises periodically throughout your tenure. Okay, salaried workers working more than 40 hours a week. Okay, guys, you need to listen to this. If you are a salaried employee and you are putting in more than 40 hours a week, you are essentially minimizing your hourly rate. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird talking about a salaried person and an hourly rate, but the reality is your salary is based off of a 40-hour work week. So if you're putting in 50 or 60 hours, then you're diminishing your hourly rate. So be very mindful of that, okay? Of course, there are going to be times when you have to work more than 40 hours. I mean, that happens, in every career. But it should not be something that is expected every single week. Okay? Lesson number 4. A toxic and incompetent supervisor. That is a dangerous, dangerous thing to have. Your supervisor can either make or break your career. So if you have a horrible supervisor, an incompetent supervisor, you need to get out from under that person as quickly as possible because they're not going to do anything to help your progression. Okay, lesson number 5, the difference between a cheerleader and a champion. So a cheerleader is important. Those are the people that will tell you to your face, you are doing a great job. Jason, thank you so much for the work that you did yesterday. It really helped our team. Those are cheerleaders. What you want is a champion, someone that's bringing up your name when you're not around, in rooms that you are not in. Those are the people that are saying things like, Jason should get this promotion because, Jason would be perfect for this project because. That's a champion. So cheerleaders are great, but you want a champion. And how you get a champion is by developing relationships with supervisors and people that are at levels above you that can become your champion. Okay, so lesson number 6. Now this is really important. Paying attention to small talk during interviews. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird, but the reason why it's so important is because I've used small talk to differentiate myself from the other applicants. And I do this by listening. So let's say, for example, you're sitting down for an interview, you're having small talk before the interview starts, and the person interviewing you mentions that they went camping last week and had a great time, but their tent broke or something. Well, when the interview is over and I'm sitting my thank you email, I may attach an article that I read about a tent that's indestructible. And, I attach it to the email and I say something like, hey, I thought you might be interested in this. So something like that. So pay attention to small talk and then use that information to differentiate yourself from the other applicants. Okay? Lesson number 7, performance evaluations. I know people hate performance evaluations, but they are a necessary evil. I'm not going to get into the HR side of why performance evaluations are important, but what I want you to know is that if you are not satisfied with your performance evaluation, you need to ask questions. You need to ask, what do I need to do moving forward to increase my performance evaluation score? And then, as you move along, you need to document your progress in those areas. So the next time you have a performance evaluation, you can bring that up to your supervisor. Do not expect your supervisor to remember your progress or to remember your successes. You need to document what you've done in those areas since the last performance evaluation so that you can make sure it is recognized in your current performance evaluation. Okay? Lesson number 8, document to defend. This is very important. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen people who are accused of doing something, whether it's, not sending information on time or failing to do some act, and they rely on a conversation that was not recorded, not witnessed, to bolster their position. Documentation is always best. If you have to memorialize something in an email, do so. So if you're ever questioned about it, you have the documentation to show, oh yes, I did present this to you on January the 5th at 4:15 p.m. Here's the email. Okay, so that's how you protect yourself. Document to defend. Lesson number 9, cross-training. Cross-training is really important because the more skills you develop, the more valuable you'll become. Now, it's not always easy to get, and sometimes you have to request to be cross-trained. But if you can do it, do it. Okay? Okay. Lesson number 10. You teach people how to treat you at work. And what I mean by that is if you accept bad behavior, if you accept mistreatment, you are teaching people that it's okay to treat you that way. And that's not what we want to do. You need to set boundaries, whether it's with your supervisor or your colleagues. You need to let people know when they are crossing boundaries. For example, if your supervisor is constantly contacting you on your days off, that's not an ideal situation. And you need to have a discussion about that. And you can do it very professionally. You can say, hey, you've been contacting me on my days off. Let's have a conversation about that. Let me explain to you why my private time is important to me. When I'm at work, I give my all. I'm here, I'm doing what you ask me to do, and that's fine. But I also have a private life. I have a family, and they need me too. Emergencies are, another thing. But constant contact during your time away, that's not good. And you need to let them know that. And if I'm an hourly worker and I'm being contacted on my days off, at a minimum, I'm going to be reporting those hours to get paid. So that's another suggestion if you're dealing with that kind of issue. Okay, our last lesson, lesson number 11, employee assistance programs. These are programs that many employees never even use, and most companies provide them. Employee assistance programs are generally confidential. Your employer will never know when you're using it. You can talk to individual people in this program about all kinds of issues, whether they're work-related or personal. So if you are struggling in any area at work or at home, your employee assistance program is a resource that can help you get through it. So please, when you get hired, or even if you've been at a company for a while, find out about your employee assistance program and the contact number. It is a resource you do not want to do without. Okay, everybody, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. And, as I've shared my opinions with you regarding some of the issues that come up at work, I hope that you were able to get some value from it. I know that when you're trying to create a beautiful life, having issues at work can sometimes stand in the way. So I hope that you're able to get something from this episode. So remember, until next Sunday, create the life you want.